So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where all of these stand countries unite into one. Now all of the stand countries lie over here in Central Asia on the world map and consist of many countries like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and a couple more. So what if all of these countries united into one? Well, first of all, this is very unlikely since they are all very diverse countries. There are a lot of different ideas and different people within these, and merging them all together would just cause them to collapse within a couple of hours. Trust me, I don't think any of these countries really want this, especially like when considering some countries like Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan who are in active conflict. It just isn't feasible to work out. But today we're going to be putting that aside and assuming that they are all happy with this, and we're going to be seeing what this new stand union can do. So if you guys do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All the support is greatly appreciated, and it also helps our channel grow. So let's go ahead and jump straight into this scenario. All right, so Pakistan, Afghanistan, these guys are probably the strongest countries within this union. So Pakistan being number one, obviously they are already one of the strongest countries in the world, and then I would put it maybe at Afghanistan and then maybe Kazakhstan, or maybe you can flip those two around, but nonetheless those are the top three powers and top three influentials. So assuming that this union is going to merge its ideas together, we can also assume that this country is going to be pro-China and then anti-India. Now Afghanistan technically would be more pro-Indian than Pakistan would be. However, Pakistan really does not like India due to some issues and some overlapping claims. So we're going to go ahead and assume that their relations are the most prominent, also considering that they are the most powerful country. None of these countries really have an issue with China, especially Pakistan and Kyrgyzstan. And in relation with Russia, it is a little bit interesting. So Kazakhstan is more of a slightly leaning Russian kind of thing. They aren't I wouldn't say they're like pro-Russian. I think they are like, if you're tipping it between Western powers and Russia, I think they are just about right here. They're not like super duper Russian friendly. In fact, you know, I think recently they've been trying to push away from Russia, but then again, they were a former Soviet country. Russia aids them in certain things, so they are still, you know, on Russia's side. So I think it would be safe to say that this union here is slightly pro-Russian. I don't know. I don't think it would be pro-Western at all, especially considering that countries like Afghanistan are within it. And we know the US just got out of the war with Afghanistan that lasted 20 years. So yeah, it's interesting politically. I think it would actually just probably be more of a neutral country with those slight leaning relations. But anyway, let's go ahead and get to the war stuff because that's why you're here, right? Now this country alone is not strong, and Pakistan would be really its only form of military. You know, they would probably be very heavy on guerrilla warfare should they ever get invaded, and you know, we can thank Afghanistan for that. But they're not a typically strong country. I would rate them at around maybe, I'd say maybe 7 or 6 strongest in the world. And once again, that is solely just by Pakistan. They are carrying this country. I don't think you guys understand how much Pakistan is carrying this. If Pakistan wasn't there, I would bump them down to like maybe 30 or 40. So yeah, Pakistan, very important. Anyway, expansion wise, I don't think this country would be aggressive at all. I think they would have hostile relations with India, and that's about it. They'd probably be friendly with China, friendly with Russia, maybe neutral towards the West, like I said earlier. But let's go ahead and give them an aggressive attitude. And with this, they're going to go after pretty much the only country that they can go after, that being Iran. Now, why Iran? Well, you don't want to go after Russia, and you don't want to go after China, and you don't want to go after India. They border three well, I don't want to say superpowers, but they border 3 large world powers, you know, number 2, number 3, and number 4. But let's go after Iran because, you know, they're a weaker country than what this one is. And by no means is this going to be an easy war for the standy stands. And also, I do know that this is a pretty popular video idea within the mapping community. I know Drew has done some stuff on it. I think even, what's the windmill profile picture? What's his name again? Real Life Lore. I don't know how I forgot that, but also like I think Happy Earth did something, and then Zimbox. That is just what I saw when I looked it up earlier, just to see kind of, well, you gotta have to market. If you're a YouTuber, you understand you have to look at other videos that are similar to your topic, but if you don't understand it, basically you have to market your videos similarly to how everyone else does it, because, you know, that's just how it goes. But yeah, that's why I would be looking at that earlier. Also, just to see, you know, I would have to mention it in the video anyway, because this is a very unoriginal idea. But since I do original content for the most part, I kind of shape it into my own thing. I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyway, Iran here is losing a lot of land in the north. Now the red team is doing a very heavy invasion from the north, and I find that very interesting because, you know, Pakistan once again is their stronger country. So I think their strategy here is just to take Iran by surprise, because, you know, you would be expecting an invasion from over here where the most amount of troops would be, but, you know, invading them from up here is going to throw them off a little bit. Also, this land up here, I believe, is relatively flat. You know, you have the mountains over here, so going through here is the easier task. And also Tehran is right here, so it isn't too far-fetched to think that they would launch an invasion from the north. But anyway, they slowly ease their way into Iran, and they start to face some resistance from the Iranian army. However, here they're going to get extremely lucky as another country or countries are going to join this war. And those specific countries are going to be the countries of Turkey and the country of Azerbaijan. Now, Turkey and Iran don't have the best of relations. Now, they've been repairing them in real life and they have been getting better. Same with Saudi Arabia and Iran, but I wouldn't call them chill friends just yet. Now, Azerbaijan, I threw them in here because they are allies with Turkey. In fact, they are each other's biggest ally, but also there are a extremely large amount of Azerbaijanis living within Iran. In fact, it's even more Azerbaijanis in Iran than are Azerbaijanis in Azerbaijan. Man, that is a lot of Azerbaijan. But we're going to assume that Azerbaijan wants to unite all Azerbaijanis together into just Azerbaijan. So I guess that is their second reason for joining this war, the first being that they are allies with Turkey. So these two countries are going to go ahead and take over the north of Iran. Now, this area is very mountainous and it would be very difficult to invade this. It's also not out of the question the fact that Iran probably has some secret missile systems within these mountains, and you know, they can go boom boom over here to Turkey. Now, we're going to assume that doesn't happen because one, I don't like to do nukes, and two, because I don't think Iran would do it. That would blow their cover and the UN would smack them around, specifically all the United States over here. Anyway, these stand countries are now going to go ahead and focus in on Tehran and trying to take that capital. Now, Iran recently has been a very, I wouldn't call them unstable, but they've been having a lot of protests recently over a lot of different things, such as strict laws and so on and so forth. There's been some murdering happening by the government that the people don't approve of, so it's not too out of the ordinary. So it wouldn't be too out of the ordinary to assume that a rebellion might pop up, like a people's rebellion or a democratic rebellion that is in favor of, you know, overturning Iran's government and forming a new kind of more democratic and more free government. With this, Tehran is pretty much overthrown and captured on the same day, and at this point Iran itself starts to crumble as the people of the country start to rise up against its government. Now, the troops within the army are also doing the same thing, and the thought of democracy is spreading across Iran as they start to lose a lot of land. Eventually, the country is pushed to its limit at about here, and it finally capitulates with the help of the people of Iran, and a new peace treaty is going to be formed here. Alright, so taking a look at this peace treaty here, it is kind of interesting. So this was, I mean, it looks really bad, but it's based off of the different, I guess, areas of Iran. I don't know what you call them. You can call them regions, ethnic groups, or like, I don't know. I'm just looking at this map here. I don't know how reliable this is, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but the different areas that I gave over here to the Stand Union include South Turkmenistan, an area over here called Balochistan, and then looking at this map, there's even more stands. You know, of course, first of all, we have Kurdistan over here, which the Turks did not get. We have Arabistan, which is I don't remember learning about any of these areas in history. And then there's, I'm not pronouncing that, but it's Qashqaistan. It's a stand, so I kind of want to double check this and fact check myself. All right, so I did kind of look at the ethnic groups of Iran, and it isn't too wrong. South Turkmenistan doesn't really exist. There is a group there, but it's not necessarily Turkmenistan, I don't think. This area down here, that was correct. Arabistan, which I now realize is just Arabs. So they have a high Arab population over here and just like a small slither right here. But other than that, I'm not really too sure what else there was. So I guess that area in the middle was not real. But yeah, I've taken way too much time talking about this. So now where does the stand country go? Once again, they are kind of in trouble here because they border too many other strong countries. Well, what they're going to do is just simply wait. And they're going to wait until they can officially redeclare war on Iran again, because, you know, I think peace treaties have like a time limit until they expire, or I guess until you can invade another country again, or maybe not. Maybe I'm just making this up, but that's how it is in different games. Anyway, the Stand Union is once again going to go after Iran, and this is the new reformed Iran, and the people of Iran are very offended by this, and honestly I would be too. You know, this country just helped overthrow your government and now it's going to invade you again. Really? This time they really don't stand a chance, as we have the Stand Union sweeping across the country and eventually making the country capitulate. Alright, looking at this peace treaty here, it does not get any prettier over here in the Middle East. So it is now known that the Stand Union's main goal is to unite all of the stands together, and that includes stands within other countries. Now, my knowledge of the stands of the world is pretty limited other than the countries themselves. I know about Kurdistan, and now I know about the different stands within Iran, but I don't know if there's any stands within like India or China or even Russia or any other Middle Eastern countries other than Iraq and Turkey. And I know Kurdistan is a whole mess kind of thing. I don't even want to get into it, but I know Turkey is not so keen of that group. Once again, not stating my opinion on it. However, the Stand Union is now going to continue its conquest, and now they're going to continue to go west. So the Stand Union is now going to go ahead and declare war on Iraq, and here they have a simple goal. That is is to capture Kurdistan. Now, this is probably making Turkey not so happy because, you know, the Stan Union is essentially making Kurdistan kind of its own thing, but within the union itself. So I guess if this union were to ever break apart, Kurdistan would become an official country, and I know Turkey would not be too happy about that. So Turkey's relations with the Stan Union is basically just broken and severed, and they don't like each other anymore. No big issue for the Stan Union though, because they have one goal in mind, and that is to unite the Stan. So northern Iraq basically rebels up against the rest of Iraq, and from here the Stan country continues to go, as Iraq really is not too strong of a country. I'm not going to push them aside. I know they do have some strength against this, which is the 7th strongest country in the world. Yeah, you're not going to last that long. All right, so taking a look at this map here, we can see that the peace treaty is kind of the same with Iran, where they only take what they want, in this case Kurdistan, and leave the rest into a puppet state. Now, it is kind of interesting to take a look at this and also take a look at like a religious map of the Middle East and see the split between Sunni and Shia Muslims. So basically, the darker red tends to be more Sunni, and the lighter red, or I guess the pink in this case, would be more Shia. It is also important to note that this isn't entirely accurate, as there are a lot of mixed areas within Iraq. But as we can see, there was a little bit of a border change with the puppet states, and that is to kind of accommodate each other more, and to kind of, I guess, I don't know if splitting the groups is really the best thing to do, because that just creates more diversity, but that is kind of the case here, where we have a more, I believe, Shia population merging in with the Iranian puppet, as opposed to being with the more Sunni population over here in the rest of Iraq. Now, feel free to correct me all you want in the comments. I don't think this is like, what's the word? Touchy stuff. I think it's more of, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is based off of what I know kind of stuff. Also, if I got the two Sunni and Shia backwards, then I apologize for that. Anyway, this is about war and not religion, so let's continue our conquest. Now, you would think that the Stan Union would want to go after Turkey, since they do have a large Kurdish population over here in this side of the country. However, they're not going to do that because they simply don't want to. You know, they invaded Iran together with Turkey, and you know, the Stan Union really values that. So instead of going after Turkey, like Turkey thinks they're going to do, they're going to go after India, because Pakistan is showing that they are kind of in charge of this thing, and that they think they can one up India now. So the Stan Union declares war on India, and wow, that's out of nowhere. Now, when you think about this, it's interesting because, you know, we have the Stan Union annexing and controlling over Iran and Iraq, and that could technically give them a little bit more of a boost, because Iran is not really a weak country. They're more of a strong country. In fact, I think they're within the top 20 or top 30. So that does add a little boost over to the Stan Union here, and especially Pakistan, who wants to get back at India and annex their claims up here in the north, especially over here in what's it called again? Kashmir. Yeah, that area. This area, which is a lot of death happening here. So the Stan Union is going to start its invasion of India, and immediately this is going to start to get backlash from a lot of Western countries and the UN. However, a country known as China is going to go ahead and tell everyone to shut up before I cut out their trade, and they're going to, you know, kind of encourage the Stan Union to invade India. Now, at first, this is going extremely well for the Stan Union, as they are not facing much resistance at first, because India didn't really expect them to invade them. You know, it just didn't seem like a very smart plan. But here we are, we have the Stan Union invading India, and now India is mobilizing its army. Once that occurs, we have the Stan Union troops being pushed back almost immediately, and being pushed back pretty hard, as they even pushed into their own territory and out of India. We see two very large scale fronts, one over here near Islamabad, and another one over here where, actually I don't know any cities over here, so over here. And we're also going to go ahead and assume that the capital of the Stan Union is Islamabad, because once again, Pakistan is the strongest country within the Union. Therefore, it would only make sense for them to have the, I guess, capital be within them. Now, it could also be in some country like maybe Uzbekistan or Turkmenistan, because it's more of a central point. However, I don't think they would do that. They most certainly aren't putting the capital over here, so we can go ahead and cross that off the list. But yeah, India is now pushing back, and this is going to go ahead and lead to China joining this war. Now, this is kind of out of nowhere, and now the world is really scratching their head as to what to do, because this is very random. We have a Central Asian gangbang up against India, and I don't think India appreciates this. So now that China is in the war, they're going to go ahead and send troops into this part of India, and since I don't know anything about this part, we're going to go ahead and just get rid of it and assume that the Chinese troops enter over here at this little cross section here. Now, mountains exist, but I don't really like mountains, so we're going to ignore those. China does aid in the invasion of Kashmir, and this eventually leads to the entire area being captured by the red team. China also sends troops down over here to the, I guess, the border between Pakistan and India in order to aid up in their invasion. Oh my god, I'm having like a brain aneurysm. Now, at this point, India is super pissed off because China and the Stan Union is invading them, and they're going to go ahead and go to the UN and say, hey, make it stop. And the UN is going to be like, okay, we'll try. You know, China is one of the big five, so that's kind of hard to persuade them to really do anything. But the US, Russia, who else? France, the UK, and China's the other one. So those guys are going to go ahead and make a statement and say, hey, China, stop that, or we're going to do something. And China's like, you know what, fine, I'll stop. But then they were like, JK, because they're going to re-enter the war and basically say, okay, here's the deal. We're going to go ahead and draw up a peace treaty. We're just going to take our claims and you can be left alone. Compensation, you're not getting anything. In fact, you're going to lose land. However, that is your fault for not being able to push this back in time. India is going to be very angry about this. However, the UN is going to support this resolution and maybe promise India some stuff behind China's back. But for now, yeah, that's the peace treaty that they're going to have to get. All right, so taking a look at this peace treaty here, pretty cut, plain, and simple. The countries of the Stand Union and the country of China are going to go ahead and get their claims on India. So China gets this little bit of land over here that they claim, and additionally some like little tiny parts of land along this border, and the Stand Union is going to get the remainder of Kashmir, and that will solve the disputes. Except it definitely won't, because India will not let that slide that easily. Of course, Kashmir is one of the most highly protected areas in the world, and I doubt India would even allow any kind of peace treaty to be made where they lose their claims on that area. So just do note that this is more in favor of the Stand Union since it's their video, and that India would most likely not lose that area even in a war, and that yeah, it's not India's video, so that's why this happened. Just wanted to throw that out there just to, you know, make anyone who is angry not angry anymore, even though you probably still are angry. My apologies. But yeah, that is going to do it for the Stand Union's video. So what if the Stand Union really did unite? Well, this definitely would not happen because this is an unrealistic scenario. However, that is what this channel is all about. We make up mapping scenarios, do whatever we want, and we have fun with it. So if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All the support is greatly appreciated, and yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And of course, thank you to all the super fans. This includes Patrick Clauser, Yo Moma Moma, Texan Cowboy Cheese, Kylie Speaks Plays, Poland Country Ball, Dimitri, DW Cool Dude, Nevada Garbage Trucks, Yakko, Soviet Ball, and Serminator. Once again, thank you guys.